Very, very happy to be associated with the inaugural official test series between England and Australia at the Cameron Park Raceway on the 2nd of January 1983. It's a day after New Year's Day, and a great welcome to a very fine Englishman, Sean Wilmot. Welcome back to you, Sean, and I hope you have a very wonderful day here today.
Thank you very much, Ron, and I hope we'll do as well.
Sean, you looked better than the last tour when you were out here. You had a most unfortunate tour last time, but you really look as if you got things together.
Yeah, I haven't ridden for for about 2 months, and I'm a little bit on the stale side, and hopefully by the time the test comes around today, I'll loosen up the muscles, you know, and I'll be okay.
What's the situation with you in England? Are you still hotting it around the speedway circuits there?
Yeah, I'm doing speedway and grass track all over Europe, and I do about 5 to 6 meetings a week.
Well, Sean Wilmot has, of course, been out here twice. This is your second time. What do you think of our country in general?
I love Aussie. I think maybe in sort of 6 or 7 years I might be thinking of moving out.
Great stuff. It's good to talk to you today, and we hope to see you do very well in the test.
Yeah, I hope so, and I wish all the Aussie riders the best of luck.
Thank you, Sean Wilmot. It's really magic. At last I've found someone who is shorter than I am. A little fella having his very first tour of Australia, riding for England today in this very historic test match, and a big welcome to you, Stephen Schofield.
Thanks very much. I'm pleased to be here, you know, and can't believe that I finally arrived, you know.
Steve, what's your background in England? Do you do some speedway, grass track, etc.?
Yeah, I ride grass track and speedway for Weymouth, and continental grass track meetings and things like that, you know.
And the competition over there very tough?
Yeah, it's pretty stiff, you know.
What do you think of it, what you've seen here in Australia? This is your first time here ever, I know, but what do you feel about your opposition?
Yeah, they're all pretty good riders. It's not as easy as it looks, and the tracks are a little bit difficult to get used to, but I'll keep trying and see how it goes, you know.
You know, I think before this tour is over, you're going to get a nickname. We have a very famous young jockey here in New South Wales named Schofield, and they call him the Beaver because he's always smiling. I think you might cop this nickname before you go.
The Beaver, eh? I wouldn't mind have been a jockey, you know, but I think I'll stick to motorbikes.
Well, I tell you what, you're short enough for it, mate. How much do you weigh, really? That's interesting.
About 9 stone, just under 9 stone. 8 stone, 12, so at 9 stone.
Well, you beaut. At last I have found someone who is shorter and someone who is lighter. Steve Schofield, thanks for being with us, and all the very best of luck to you today in this test match.
Thanks very much indeed. Cheers.
The guy who's really setting the place alight today on this day of the very first official test match between England and Australia is the current Australian champion, Kerry Gray. And gee, congratulations to you, mate. You defended the title in October at Tasmania, a great result.
Yeah, the day went well for me, my bikes went well, and I was pumped on the race and just went.
You know, when I've seen you round the traps, and like you, I travel round a lot, and I always felt when you first won it here that you'd be a one-track champion, but that's not so, and I keep telling people that they can see you ride all tracks, and really you are a true Australian champion. But how do you feel about the opposition today?
Well, it's the best. You'll never get any better opposition in Australia than is here today.
What a magic thing, you know, you and Chris Watson, Len Norris, and the other rider that's won his way in, Michael Stormouth from Wagga, you know, in against the top guys in Australia. An enormous thing to win your way in there first up, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, those qualifying races, in actual fact, were virtually Australian titles. Because if you think about it, they were the best riders in Australia on the line trying to qualify.
Yeah,
so we saw 2 Australian titles run this morning.
Yeah,
really?
That's the absolute truth, yeah. Now, the track is wet. The pommies may well like this. How do you feel about it?
Well, personally, I won here in the wet, so I can't very well say I don't like it, but personally, I'd rather it was dry because that'll make for a lot better racing. The wet tends to cut the lines down and all that, you know, visibility's a problem and all of that sort of stuff. If it was dry, I think it would be a lot more exciting and a lot quicker. But as it is now, well, we've all got the same bit and we're all reasonably good riders and we're all in there going for it.
Kerry Gray, thanks very much for talking to us and all the best today in the test match.
Right, thank you very much.
Well, this young guy has won quite a lot of titles in a very, very short but hectic career, and Chris Watson, congratulations to you on getting into the Australian side today.
Thanks, Rod.
Chris, it was on the rebound. It was a repechage thing. You got barreled off in the first heat there.
Yeah, in the first start I got a good gate and a bit of a restart and come out in the second one. got a bad start and got boxed in and ran up the bum of another rider and over I went.
Anyway, that's the true test of a champion, isn't it? But in the second heat, you did come from behind also.
Yeah, I got a reasonable start, got out 4th and got around and rider quick, and took a while to get around Graham Boyd when he was riding good, but finally got him and got past Michael Stormont and ended up winning.
What do you feel about the opposition today, Chris? You've ridden against some of them, but not all of them.
Yes, before it started raining, it was pretty even square now, but I'm not a real good mud rider, and I'd say our chance of going down because they're more used to riding in the wet weather over in England. You know, they were hoping for a bit of rain over here.
Well, according to Sean Wilmot, he would rather have had it dry, but you feel that they may now have a slight edge.
Oh yes, all used to riding in the wet. Well, last heat before lunch, I went out, you know, they were handling the track a lot better than I were in the wet, you know. They seem to go in the corners quicker where we're not used to wet weather, you know. A rainy day usually gets cancelled here, or in most tracks, so we're not used to riding in the wet, so, you know, they found it easy, I think.
How old are you now, Chrissy?
I'm 18 tomorrow.
Ah, great stuff, 18 tomorrow. Happy birthday to you. Wish you all the best in the new year, and good luck to you today.
Thanks a lot, Rod, thanks a lot.
Well, for the Shortland Hotel, we've talked to Sean Wilmot, Stephen Schofield, Chris Watson and Kerry Gray. And as Kerry very succinctly put it, almost every race today is an Australian title. And that's where we'll see round 1 of the Australia versus England test under official sanction by the controlling bodies of both countries. And we have Sean Wilmot, who will captain the England side, and Kerry Gray, who will captain the Australian side, in centre track at the moment, and Peter Trappel, the organiser of this day today, will toss the coin. The successful caller will then have selection of post position or trap position, and they will then rotate heat by heat. So Peter about to make the toss, and Sean Wilmot will make the call. Sean has a grin on his face and he says, I've won the toss, and that's all he wanted. 4 laps in the test, 4 laps. England is taking the inside. England have elected to take the inside, and we will see Sean Wilmot, Trevor Banks, Stephen Schofield and Martin Hagen riding for England. We'll see Kerry Gray, Michael Stormont, Christopher Watson and Len Norris riding for Australia.
Who's 29 in the juniors?
29.
It's not in the program.
To 26, isn't it? 26, Wiltshire. Devon Boyce has gone from 33 to 40. Well, they seem to have settled their nerves okay. And Len Norris has the outside, which isn't the prettiest of pictures, going down into this long straightaway. That's Wilmot coming out of the trap again. Get a little bit edgy. These professionals, they try to sneak a break on someone else. Then again, the goggles do fog up a bit under there. However, we've got Wilmot on the inside, and then Gray, then Banks, and they do alternate as they go across the trap. They're racing, and it's a good even start too in round 1 of the test, and coming away from the gate is Sean Wilmot, followed out by Kerry Gray. Gray goes to the front as they go into the first corner from Wilmot. There's Watson going through to take up. Oh, there's Australia 1, 2 and 3 at the moment as Gray leads away from Watson, followed by Norris, and then Sean Wilmot of England, followed by Trevor Banks and Steve Schofield, then Michael Stormont and Martin Hagen. But it's Kerry Gray going up on the inside of him is Christopher Watson, but Gray is not looking for Watson at the moment. Lenny Norris has dropped back through the field and gone in now to 5th, 6th place as the Englishmen go into 2, 3 and 4. But it's Kerry Gray, the leader, as they come up the hill. There's Watson having a quick look back from Sean Wilmot in 3rd spot, followed by Trevor Banks and then Stephen Schofield, Michael Stormont, Len Norris, and last of all is Martin Hagen. Down the straightaway they go, the main straight in this first round of the test series, and it's Gray from Watson with Wilmot slowly but surely getting to them. Wilmot's riding his heart out here. Watson is trying to cover him. Gray is leading away. It's Gray into the pit corner with a little over a lap to go from Watson, followed by Wilmot, who's getting close enough to be a danger. They're followed by Trevor Banks. Then comes Stephen Schofield from Martin Hagen. Then behind him, at least not Martin Hagen, but Schofield has a quick look back there to see Stormont, but up the hill they come, and the battle between Wilmot and a young Christopher Watson for second place is absorbing, but Kerry Gray of Australia will lead them in. There's Wilmot coming in underneath Watson, but it's Gray. Wilmot on the line from Watson, followed by Banks, then coming Schofield. Behind him is Michael Stormont from Martin Hagen, and last over the line is Len Norris. Oh boy, hey, at least Wilmot got up there. There's no argument in my mind, but we will certainly check them officially from the official judge. Now that's officially, it's one, officially one first, Kerry Gray. 58, Wilmot in second place. 30 was Watson. Then came Banks 7. 352 is Schofield. 131, Stormont. Rerun. Out they go, the traps are down, and that's not a bad start. The Banks was in trouble though, and Wilmot with Gray on the outside as Watson as they go into the corner. It's Christopher Watson leading away. Wilmot gets the inside running. Oh, and Schofield is almost gone. A real buck jump exhibition there. Up the hill they come, and it's Wilmot in front of Gray, followed by Watson. Behind him comes Trevor Banks. He's followed then by Schofield, then Michael Stormont from Martin Hagen and Len Norris. No change. Sean Wilmot the leader. Kerry Gray of Australia. Then Stephen Schofield of England. Chris Watson of Australia. Then Trevor Banks of England. There's Watson underneath Schofield as they go into the corner. Watson has moved into third place. Wilmot the leader now is coming out of the pit corner. Away from Kerry Gray. Followed by Watson. Then comes Schofield from Banks. Then on the inside is Mike Stormont. Then second last is Martin Hagen, and last of all is Len Norris. But it's Sean Wilmot of England, the leader. Kerry Gray of Australia in second place, and then Chris Watson of Australia, followed there by Trevor Banks of England. He's followed by Michael Stormont of Australia, and then Stephen Schofield of England with one to go. It's Wilmot, the leader, from Gray, followed by Watson. Then comes Banks quietly but efficiently. Stormont is making ground. There goes Banks trying to get round the outside of him, but Stormont hanging on to fourth place. Banks barrels into it again, goes around him. It's Wilmot the leader. Up to the pit corner they come, and the checkered flag is out, and it's Wilmot of England, followed home by Gray of Australia, then Watson of Australia from Banks of England, Stormont of Australia, Schofield of England. Then behind him comes Martin Hagen of England, and last of all Len Norris of Australia. Well, a great win to the English captain. That's Sean Wilmot. And he's really in fine form there today, and he's put the cleaner through them, but let's check them down. 58 is Wilmot of England, 1 was Gray of Australia, 30 was Watson of Australia, 7 Banks of England. This is event 41, the Australia versus England Test Series Round 3. They come to the line, go, they're racing, and that's a good even start too. And Chris Watson bounced down in front of Banks. On the inside is Kerry Gray. Watson and Banks. Oh, Banks is down as he goes into the corner, and all the riders have missed him. But Trevor Banks is down for England, and that will lose them valuable points. Up the hill comes the leader, and this is Chris Watson. Behind him is Kerry Gray, who will do the covering. Then Martin Hagen of England. Behind Martin Hagen is Stormont of Australia, followed by Wilmot, then Schofield and Norris. But into the corner they go. And still it's Chris Watson, the leader. Watson of Australia from Gray of Australia, followed by Wilmot of England. Behind him comes, let's have a look, that's Hagen of England. Then comes Stormont of Australia from Schofield, followed by Norris. Sean Wilmot having a go at Kerry Gray there, trying to break up this 1-2 domination of Australia at the moment. And Wilmot diving down underneath him, gets in underneath Kerry Gray on the corner here. Gray comes back at him again, and Gray is covering for Watson as he does a good job out in front, but Gray is holding the rest of the pack up. And he's having a ding-dong dice here with Sean Wilmot, who goes in underneath him as they go down the straightaway. All the action up front of this motor race. There's Wilmot gone wide, giving Gray a chance to come back at him again as Martin Hagen takes the opportunity and dives through for England into second place. Gray comes back at him again as they come up the hill, but it's Watson now coming to the flag from Martin Hagen, followed by Kerry Gray, but it's Watson first of Australia, Hagen of England, Gray of Australia, Stormont Australia, Schofield England, Norris of England, and Sean Wilmot will fail to finish, although Wilmot looks as if he's intent on pushing it home. However, it would be a forlorn, certainly a forlorn hope for Sean Wilmot, as Australia have clinched it, I'd say, without any question. A brilliant ride there by Watson, an equally brilliant ride by Kerry Gray, who did a lot of covering, and we'll have the time for that event. 1:38.19. 1:38.19. Australia take out the first test series at Cameron Park Raceway, 102 points to 80.
So it gives me great pleasure to hand you over to a guy who's done a great deal of organising to get the English team to Australia, Peter Trappel from Newcastle.
Right, thanks very much. First up, I'd like to welcome all of you here. As you can see, it's going to be a very good day. Fantastic setup King Roy's done here. It's really great. I especially welcome the English riders. I know them all, and they are 4 top guys, and they'll prove it this afternoon. They can certainly ride motorbikes. Well, first up, we better give number 1 jacket to the Aussie champion, Kerry Gray. Number 2 for Lenny Norris. It's really great that Lenny's come up here because it's certainly a long way from Wagga, and he's going to support us here all the way. Thank you. West one, is it? What's the West name? The third one, Vic Galligan from Queensland. And number 4 for Graham Baldwin on the buck jumper. Good, thanks very much.
And before you go, fellas, can you just come over here and we've got a few little goodies for you.
Righto, for round 1 of Australia versus England test match. Up to the traps, and away they go. They're going to get out in front. 79, Lenny Norris, it looks like the boy's going to do it for Australia. That looks a fair bit like Steve Schofield in second place for England. Trevor Banks third. England second and third. And fourth, they've got Lenny Norris on 79. Lenny Norris on 79 for Australia. Looking at 15 big points. But I tell you what, the English fellas are right out amongst it. Second, third and fourth at the moment. And fifth too. Well, who have we got? Steve Schofield's gone off the track by the look of it. So now it's 79, Lenny Norris. Martin Hagen in second place. Well, we've got Kerry Gray's gone down. The fellas are dropping out here everywhere. They're dropping like flies. The power's on, the pressure's on. Looks like 1 lap of the journey to go for Lenny Norris. Martin Hagen, Trevor Banks, and Sean Wilmot, the English captain, now up in the third place. But the Englishmen, second, third and fourth. So I get the numbers as they come along, and look at the style of Lenny Norris, foot up. He's confident. 79 from 350. 758. 115. 830. And 1. Well, there we go. I think the Poms might be out in front. We forgot that. Whack it on there. Is that victory? Whack it on there, yeah. Righto, the numbers. 79, Lenny Norris for Australia. 15 big points. Number 350 was second, Martin Hagen, 12 points for England. Number 7, Trevor Banks for England. Number 58, Sean Wilmot for England. Number 115, Vic Gallagher, Australia. 8:30, Graham Baldwin, Australia. And number 1, Kerry Gray, Australia, after taking a tip in the third lap. Bringing them up to the traps now. Get the time on this one, it'll be a pretty quick one. Looks like I got a bit better. Sean Wilmot out in front for England. Kerry Gray's got a lot better line this time. He's running in second at the moment. But looks like England 1 and 2. Scoey out in front by the look of it. Steve Schofield out in front. Steve Schofield for England. Australia, Len Norris for Australia, Graham Baldwin for Australia, Vic Gallagher for Australia, and the other 2 Englishmen, well, they were second last and last, but now they're back up into 4th. Breaking duel now, the chook chasers against the sliders. Still Steve Schofield from Sean Wilmot, Kerry Gray, Len Norris. And looks like Trevor Banks now is up into 4th place on number 7. Vic Gallagher coming around to get 8th. And Scoey's out pretty wide, but he's got a fair bit of distance in front of him, and I think Sean Wilmot will be just out there making up the... Sean Wilmot will be able to keep second place and try and hold the Australians back. That's what teams racing's all about. Steve Schofield in the lead for England. Pick up the checkered flag. It's England. England, Australia. England, Australia. England, Australia. Who's the last fella? Australia. Did you get him? England, England, Australia, England, Australia, England, Australia, Australia. 123.2 for the time. 123.2. We'll give you the progressive points. It was 30-all before that one. Got Susie Robson up here going mad. Righto, bringing them up to the lines now for the 3rd and final round. Now we've got England on the inside run this time. And they go and help leather in there. It looks like England 1 and 2. Schofield out in front again. Trevor Banks, Len Norris for Australia in second. Len Norris for Australia in second place at the moment. Here comes Kerry Gray up on the inside, and he's right beside Sean Wilmot on 58. That's Bill Norris, second. Schofield for England out in front. Norris for Australia. Sean Wilmot for England. Kerry Gray for Australia. Trevor Banks for England. Come on, Australians, cheer the Aussies on. Still Schofield for England out in front. Len Norris. Sean Wilmot, the English captain, in 3rd place at the moment. Trevor Banks for England. Now Kerry Gray's got an inside line. Is he going to get up into 4th? 1 lap to go. Kerry Gray seems to have some problems with his machine. Looks like it's a clear-cut win though for Steve Schofield for England. That will be nearly enough to give him the title, I would say. It's going to be on here. Wait for official places. It was on there for young and old. And I think the Englishman, Sean Wilmot, looks like fairly pleased with it. The Englishman may have taken the test. Wait. for official places, but I'm pretty sure that England has taken the test.
Sponsored by Fraser's Motorcycles. Fraser's Motorcycles, a name very well known throughout the motorcycling world, and Norm Fraser goes back to the very early days of dirt track racing and knows what it's all about. And Fraser's Motorcycles will provide you with sales and service that are absolutely top class. Sean Wilmot, Trevor Banks, Martin Hagan and Stephen Schofield representing England. Kerry Gray, Chris Watson, Michael Stormont. Very quickly, and Trevor Banks skipped away here to lead from, that's Sean Wilmot covering in second place. The third rider is Kerry Gray. Michael Stormont of Australia is up there, but the Englishmen have a 1-2 situation at the moment with Sean Wilmot covering Trevor Banks beautifully here, and then Kerry Gray of Australia from Stormont, followed there by Martin Hagan. But it's Banks the leader. Banks up the hill. There's Wilmot having a quick look back there to see that Gray is just behind him. They're followed by Michael Stormont of Australia, and then Len Norris from Chris Watson, who's under pressure there at the back to try and keep out the attack of Steve Schofield and Martin Hagan. But it's England of 1 and 2 at the moment. Sean Wilmot going into the corner together. Kerry Gray has got no chance in the world of splitting up this pair at this stage. Michael Stormont is hanging on to 4th place. Len Norris is scoring points for Australia. So too is Chrissy Watson. Then comes Stephen Schofield and Martin Hagan. But here they come in. Up the hill they go. Gray is trying to look for the inside here. Wilmot has a quick look back again. Wilmot is content to sit there behind his teammate Trevor Banks, who's looking for him too. And there's Gray going after Wilmot. Oh, and Wilmot's been shunted a little there. He's back onto the track again, but Gray is around the outside of him. And round the corner they come, but back comes again. Banks from Wilmot now. Riding there. Banks, Wilmot, followed by Gray, then Stormont from Norris and Watson, followed by Schofield, and last of all is Martin Hagan. Across the hill they come, and there's trouble. Norris has gone up on the hill. He's lost it all. Norris won't score a point. He can't possibly come back from there. But let's have a look at Trevor Banks. Will come to the line. Martin Hagan, followed by Gray, then Stormont. From Watson, Norris, who I don't think will score in that position, followed by Stephen Schofield, and last of all was Martin Hagan. But we'll have to check with the stewards there from the way I saw it, and remember, I am only provisional. There's no way in the world I think that Lenny Norris could score from that. You cannot leave the circuit unless you return to the circuit again at the spot where you left it. But again, my situation is only provisional, and I will have to accept the words of the steward, but this is important because we have a point score system here, and I will have them checked officially for you. Coming up now for event 40, the second round of the Australia versus England Test Series. Followed by Norris going with him, and there's Schofield trying to go round the outside. Oh, Norris almost into the fence there, but he got away from it well. But the leader as they come across the face of the hill is Sean Wilmot of England from Watson of Australia, then Norris. Stormont trying to force his way through there. Kerry Gray almost down. But it's Wilmot the leader. Behind him is Gray and Stormont. And then comes Martin Hagan from Trevor Banks in a most unusual role at the rear of the field. Up the hill they go, and still it's Sean Wilmot the leader. Wilmot hanging on beautifully out in front. He's under pressure from Watson. Norris in third position at the moment. There's Schofield trying to hunt up. Behind behind Stormont then comes Martin Hagan, and last of all is Trevor Banks. But it's Sean Wilmot, the leader. Wilmot's kicking away now from Watson. Norris in third spot at the moment for Australia, and then Schofield. Behind him comes Gray and Stormont of Australia, and then Hagan, and last of all is Banks. Wilmot's not over well. Wilmot lying into the corner there. Watson chasing in after him. Norris a similar distance back. Similar distance and a bit more then to Schofield, who's under pressure from Gray. He's followed then by Stormont, second last Hagan, and last of all is Trevor Banks. But it's Sean Wilmot, the leader. England's captain leading away out here from the Australian champion, Chris Watson. Followed by former Australian champion, Wendy Norris. Then comes Schofield from the current Australian champion, Kerry Gray. Then Michael Stormont of Wagga in Australia, followed by Martin Hagan and Trevor Banks of England. But the checkered flag out, and Sean Wilmot has done it well. Wilmot, the winner. Great stuff to Wilmot. Second place to Watson. Third to Norris. Fourth place to Schofield of England. Then Gray of Australia. Stormont of Australia. Martin Hagan of England, and the last rider over the line was Trevor Banks of England. Now we'll check them down for you. 58 was Martin Hagan, England. 30 was Watson of Australia. 79 Norris of Australia. 352 Schofield of England. 1 was Gray of Australia. 131 Stormont of Australia. 350 was Hagan of England, and 7 was Banks of England. The time for the winner, 2:03.97. We now come to the third and final round in the Fraser Motorcycle-sponsored England-Australia Test Series. Now, Australia leading at the moment by 63 points to 56. There's only 7 points the difference here in this series. The third of the series, Australia won the first of the series at Cameron Park. They then lost to England at Kingaroy in Queensland. They are currently 1-1. And this test here today is very important to both sides, because they then will take a lead in the series, the winner here today, and go into Cameron Park with just so much more confidence. Right on here, Peter Garrett has them coming up here for the running of the third round of this test series. From Watson. Hagan's gone into the corner first from Watson, followed by Wilmot looking for the inside of him and nearly getting it too. But it's Martin Hagan, the leader, away here from Watson, followed by Wilmot. There goes Banks up underneath Wilmot. Lenny Norris is after him too. Wilmot is coming back again, but Norris is really firing it on. Wilmot going with him now, and Norris has been cut to the side. But it's Hagan, the leader. Hagan away here from Watson, followed by Wilmot and then Gray. Norris getting up underneath Banks again, followed by Stormont and Schofield in that order. Up across the hill they go, and it's still Hagan. Watson after Hagan now. And it's Hagan of England, Watson of Australia. Then Wilmot of England. Followed by Norris of Australia, and then Schofield of England. But look at the duel going on here for second and third points. That's between Chris Watson, and I thought that he'd lost it. I thought that Sean Wilmot had gone, and so too did Kerry Gray, but they're both on okay. But the leader is Martin Hagan. Hagan by Wilmot. Then we've got, let's have a look, that's Kerry Gray from Trevor Banks, followed then by Stormont. Norris has dropped back through the pack, and last of all is Schofield. But there's some big points coming up for England here. 1 lap to go, and it's Martin Hagan, the leader. Hagan from Watson. And Schofield. Past the Lone Pine, and it's still Martin Hagan. Look at Wilmot trying to get on the inside of Watson. Hagan the leader. Watson's after him. He's got him on the corner, and it's Watson that goes to the lead. Watson Christopher Watson. There's the handshake from Sean Wilmot and also Martin Hagan, who performed absolutely brilliantly. But you've certainly got to give it to Chrissy Watson. He certainly performed. He did not give up to the last 10 yards. And surely they'll appreciate your applause for that. We'll check them officially, but what a great performance by all three. Martin Hagan at last getting the bugs out of the problems and going with them there. So it was Watson first, Hagan second, Wilmot third, then Kerry Gray of Australia. 7 was Banks of England, 131 was Stormont of Australia, 79 Norris and 352 Schofield. Now wherever you are, it's time to come back, because we now go into event 32, which is round 1 of the Australia versus England test match, brought to us by Western Underwriters and Norm Fraser Motorcycles.
Food yet now. Still going with that.
Australia versus England, round 1. Out they go. The trap goes down and Schofield bounced out very quickly. Wilmot goes, so too did Martin Hagan. Oh, and down, there's a rider down, 2 down. No, Gray escaped him. But that's Martin Hagan that's down. At the moment, the Englishman out in front, 1 and 2. There's Watson coming up through the centre now after him. But it's Hagan, the leader, away from Watson, followed by Sean Wilmot and then Len Norris. Down the straight they go, and it's Hagan. Then Wilmot from Norris, followed by Banks. Behind him is Kerry Gray, who got into trouble with the luckless Martin Hagan. No, Stephen Schofield it was who fell. Up the hill they come, and still England leads. Up the hill, and it's Martin Hagan in front of Chris Watson, followed by Wilmot, then coming Banks from Norris, followed by Gray and Stormont. Watson has hit the front. Watson hit the front. And he goes into the corner now in front of Wilmot. Followed through there by Trevor Banks. Oh, and Banks is gone! There's a rider down! Oh, boy, that was a heavy one, but he's okay. It's Watson, the leader. Watson now from Wilmot, followed there by Martin Hagan. Then coming Kerry Gray. Then Len Norris, followed by Michael Stormont. Then Trevor Banks and Schofield, the 2 Englishmen who fell. Down the hill, Watson and Sean Wilmot hammer and tongs at it. Up the hill they come, and it's Watson of Australia, Wilmot of England going after him. Wilmot's underneath him as they go to the corner. Down to the line, and it's Watson. Watson, Wilmot, Gray, Norris. Then Stormont from Hagan. Then comes Schofield and Banks. Well, what an opener. What an opener. Man alive. Holy Toledo, it's on good and proper. Now the Poms must win this one to stay in it. Bang, the traps are down, out they go. Let's have a look. There's Trevor Banks away. Banks away with Gray following him on the inside, and it's Gray after Banks. There's Gray going up on the inside of him, but Banks leads now from Gray, followed by Norris, then Wilmot and Schofield. Watson at the third last, then Stormont, and last of all is Hagan. Into the corner they come, and it's Trevor Banks, the leader. Trevor Banks of England away here from Sean Wilmot looking to the inside of Len Norris there and unable to get it, and then comes Christopher Watson, Stephen Schofield sticking with him, Michael Stormont, and last of all Hagan. Up the hill they come, and it's Banks the leader. Trevor Banks of England leading away from Kerry Gray of Australia as they come into the corner. Len Norris then holding out Sean Wilmot. Behind him is Chris Watson, followed then by Stephen Schofield. Down the hill they go, and there's Sean Wilmot, got up into third place to gain valuable points for the Poms. Up the hill comes Trevor Banks, the leader. There's Sean Wilmot after Kerry Gray. If they can pull off a 1-2 here, there'll be some fun and games, but it's Banks, the leader. Banks away from Gray, followed by Wilmot and Norris, then coming Schofield, and Steve Schofield has gained a place there on both Stormont and Chris Watson. Watson relegated to the rear of the field, with the exception of Martin Hagen, who is in trouble. But it's Trevor Banks of England. Banks of England leading as they come round the corner from Gray, followed by Wilmot, then Len Norris, Stephen Schofield, Michael Stormont and Chris Watson. And then we've got to get... this is Martin Hagen home to put points on the board for England. But by Gee, they've had a very successful round that time. Martin Hagen coming across the line now. Hagen crosses the line. Okay, line up around 3, down go the traps. Out of the traps comes Stephen Schofield quickly. Wilmot and Trevor Banks and Kerry Gray, but it's Schofield that goes to the lead. Schofield, Banks, he's into the fence. Schofield's down, Watson's down. That's Martin Hagen down. Hagen has pulled up. There's trouble here. Watson is there. Let's have a look at the steward. The red flag is out. Someone has held out a red flag. Ambulance flag is up. Trevor Banks, one of the riders down. Martin Hagen was out of bother there. He rushes over to see what happens. Stephen Schofield down. Schofield it was that went down. Banks went down with him too. Banks the second rider down. So out they go. Martin Hagen on the inside out quickly. Watson is away quickly on this occasion also. Into the corner they go, and it's Chris Watson of Australia, the leader, away here from Martin Hagen and Sean Wilmot, followed by Lenny Norris. Then coming Trevor Banks. Behind Trevor Banks is Kerry Gray of Australia, followed by Michael Stormont, and then Beaver Schofield. But round the corner, and it's Watson the leader. Watson, Hagen is gone. Martin Hagen's gone, but it's Wilmot is into the fence too. It's Watson away from Wilmot, followed by Gray. Then coming Lenny Norris of Australia. Behind him Trevor Banks of England from Stormont of Australia, and then Hagen and Schofield in that order of England. Watson the leader for Australia. Sean Wilmot of England. Kerry Gray. Into the corner they go, and it's Watson opening up a big gap now from Wilmot, followed by Gray and Norris. Then comes Banks of England from Michael Stormont. Then comes Martin Hagen and Steve Schofield. 1 lap to go, and it's Chris Watson the leader. Watson from Wilmot. Gray. Then Banks from Stormont. Hagen. Schofield. Chris Watson of Australia coming to the checkered flag, a very convincing winner. Watson first. Then Wilmot, Norris, Gray, Banks of England, Stormont of Australia, then Martin Hagen of England, and the last rider to finish, Stephen Schofield of England. Scoey not well at all, I feel. However, he wouldn't make excuses. A great win then by Christopher Watson of Australia. One of the best talents this country has produced for a long time. Kerry Gray quite elated. That will give Australia a very, very convincing victory. Next to him, one of the finest gentlemen of the sport that I've had the pleasure of meeting, a former Australian dirt track champion. He comes from West Wyalong. Ladies and gentlemen, Len Norris. And the real youngster of the side, a guy who's won an Australian long track title, New South Wales title. He's some 18 years of age. He comes from that beautiful downtown suburb of Cessnock called Neath. And he's the son of George and Margaret. I couldn't leave that out. Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Watson. 6 of the best in the world today, and you're going to see them compete in the Cruikshanks Mazda sponsored Test Series here at Tamworth. Gentlemen, thank you very much. They start to come down now to the line. Chris Watson down first. That's on the inside there is Martin Hagan of England. Watson's drawn the centre. That's Len Norris outside of him. Trevor Banks. Wilmot will be pulling his usual tricks, taking a long time to come up to the gate. Well, they are in the hands of the starter. It's officially now in the hands of the starter. They have 2 minutes to get to the line. Any rider that doesn't get there within the 2-minute time is automatically excluded. They are in the hands of the starter. Go, they're racing. Good even start on the outside. Banks was slow to move. On the inside, going with them as Martin Hagan. But as they go into the first corner, it's Kerry Gray leading away now from Chris Watson, followed by Len Norris. Then in trouble is Sean Wilmot, followed by Banks and Hagan in that order. But it's Australia 1, 2 and 3 at the moment, with Gray leading away here from Norris, followed by Watson. Then coming Sean Wilmot from Trevor Banks and Martin Hagan, and they look as if they're going to have the cleaner put right through them, the Poms. Gray of Australia, the leader. Gray leading away. There's Watson and Norris covering the track at the back of him, making it impossible for anyone to get through there, and Sean Wilmot is the next rider in line, followed by Trevor Banks and a long way back Martin Hagan. But all three Australians going into the top corner together there, and Kerry Gray is still the leader. They've got the whole of the track covered. Gray the leader from Norris, followed by Watson. Then coming Wilmot from behind him, a long way back comes Martin Hagan. They could have given him half a lap start. However, up the hill they come, and it's Norris now the leader. Norris from Gray, followed by Wilmot, that's got up in front of Watson now. Then comes Banks, and a long way back is Hagan. There's Watson getting up underneath. Oh, Watson has gone. He's dropped it. Watson has dropped it in the pit corner, and it's Len Norris the leader for Australia. A long way back then comes Martin Hagan. Watson up and going again. I doubt if he'll have enough time to do anything about catching Hagan. He decides not to, but it's Norris the leader. Norris from Gray, followed now by Wilmot and then Banks, Hagan and Watson in that order. Watson up and going again to earn the points, but it's all over. Lenny Norris has won the first of the series for Australia. Kerry Gray, Wilmot sitting third. Then comes Trevor Banks in fourth place. He'll be followed by Martin Hagan. Then a long way back, Christopher Watson of Australia, who finished after falling in the pit corner. So as they went over the line, it was Len Norris on 79, Kerry Gray on 1, 58 was Sean Wilmot of England, then came Trevor Banks of England on 7, Martin Hagan of England on 350, and the last rider to finish in round 1 was Chris Watson of Australia. The time recorded by the winner, 2:03.13. Now we get ready for the running of the Cruikshank Mazda sponsored England versus Australia Test Series round 2 in the 4th test at Moore Creek at Tamworth. And it is quite obvious that because of the injury to riders, that the Australian rider Michael Stormont will go in to replace the injured rider Len Norris, who has been taken away to hospital with a suspected fractured collarbone. They're lining up now and ready to go in this Cruikshank Mazda England versus Australia test round 2. Little trouble there with Kerry Gray at the start. He's okay now and moves up. Starting marshal asking him forward, he comes forward. Asking them to move back, they're still not away yet. There it is, away go the traps and out they come. Watson moved out quickly, so very slow to move and takes up last place at the moment, but it's Watson the leader now. from Gray. On the inside of him is Wilmot. There's Trevor Banks going up quickly, moving into third place now and setting sail after Kerry Gray, but it's Christopher Watson, the leader. Watson leading away here from Gray, followed by Banks and then Wilmot from Stormont and Martin Hagen. Down the straight they come, past the pits for the first time, and it's Chris Watson from Kerry Gray. Two Englishmen. That's Trevor Banks and Sean Wilmot, and then Michael Stormont, who's gained a place back there after relegating, that's Martin Hagen, to the rear of the field. Chris Watson of Wallsend, the lead rider at the moment. Round the pit corner again he comes, the current Australian title holder Kerry Gray sitting in second place. Then Sean Wilmot, Trevor Banks, Michael Stormont, and then Martin Hagen. Now the interesting feature here is that Stormont is slowly but surely gaining ground on these fellows up front on this borrowed piece of machinery. He's done well to pass Martin Hagen. He's now out after Trevor Banks, and I'll tell you what, he might cause a bit of a surprise. But it's Watson the leader. There's a little over a lap to go now, and Watson is the leader for Australia, away from Gray of Australia. Then Stormont of Australia, followed by Hagen of England. And Stormont slowly but surely there, getting to Trevor Banks. Into the corner they go, and Banks has gone very wide. Stormont followed him round though, gets a little closer to him as they go through the S's. That's not a bad performance by Mike Stormont on the borrowed machinery. But down the hill comes the leader, and that's Chris Watson of Australia. Chris Watson first Australia, Kerry Gray second Australia, Sean Wilmot and Trevor Banks of England, then Michael Stormont of Australia, and last over the line is Martin Hagen of England. Check the placings down for you. 30 was Watson, 1 Gray, both of Australia, 58 Wilmot and 7 Banks of England, 30 was Mike Stormont of Australia, and 350 was Martin Hagen of England, and the time 2 minutes 2:01.19. 2:01.19. Waiting on Trevor Banks at the rear there. Sean Wilmot about to come up now. Out they go. Wilmot broke very, very quickly on this occasion. Kerry Gray, followed by Chris Watson. Sean Wilmot, the leader from Watson, followed by Gray. There's Stormont going up under Banks. Banks coming back at him again, though, as they come up the hill into the right-hander for the first time. And it's Sean Wilmot of England from Chris Watson of Australia, Kerry Gray, Michael Stormont, then Trevor Banks and Martin Hagen at the rear of the field. Round the pit corner they come, and it's Sean Wilmot getting right down along the tank. Trevor Banks about to have a go at Gray here as they go into the corner, but it's still Sean Wilmot, the leader from Watson. Watson trying to go. Oh, there goes Gray, almost off the circuit. He managed to hook it back on again. Michael Stormont has got up into 4th place. Now it's Wilmot. Wilmot, the only Englishman keeping the Australians out of taking the first 3 places. And it's Wilmot, the leader. Wilmot now coming down the hill, followed by Watson. Kerry Gray behind him from Michael Stormont, followed by then Martin Hagen. But it's Sean Wilmot, the little English captain, riding his heart out here at the moment. Chris Watson really applying the pressure as they go up the hill a long way back then to Kerry Gray. Watson trying to get under him, he does so too. Watson underneath him as they go into the corner, and Watson has taken up the running now from the English captain, Sean Wilmot, who's back again at him on the inside, and it's Wilmot one to go from Watson, followed by Kerry Gray, then coming Mike Stormont, followed by Trevor Banks and Martin Hagen, but it's Wilmot the leader again. What a gutsy performance by this bloke. Wilmot up the hill and through the right-hander. He's been headed once and came back at it again. Wilmot the leader from Watson as they go into the corner from Gray, followed by Stormont and Banks. Round the corner they come, and it will be Wilmot Watson getting closer to him. The checkered flag is out, but it will be Wilmot. Wilmot Watson. Then comes Kerry Gray of Australia, followed home by Michael Stormont. Then Trevor Banks of England, and a long way back to Martin Hagen of England. Well, no doubt about that performance. A real gutsy ride by the English captain, Sean Wilmot. And he was home first in front of Chris Watson. Third home was Kerry Gray. Then came Michael Stormont, who did very well on that borrowed equipment. Trevor Banks, and last of all, Martin Hagen, the official. Right, they're lining up now. They come up to the start, ready for this round one of the Test Series. A little bit of scrambling at the gate. There's a rider late. Up they go, and that's a good even start too. And Watson bounced out well for Australia, followed by Martin, and there goes Whitehouse and the English riders very slow to move. It's Australia 1, 2, 3 at the moment, but it's Watson the leader from Martin, followed by Whitehouse, and then comes the English captain Wilmot. Behind him is Martin Hagen. Right into the corner they go, and it's Christopher Watson of Australia, the leader from John Martin, followed by Kevin Horton and Stephen Whitehouse. That's Australia 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then comes Sean Wilmot, Trevor Banks, Simon Wigg, and last of all is Martin Hagen. Well, the Australians really putting the cleaner through them at the moment. And down the straightaway comes Watson, the leader from Martin. From Banks and Hagen. Into the pit corner they go, and round the big sweeper, and Watson goes a little further away. Martin of Australia second, Horton of Australia third, then Whitehouse of Australia in fourth place, followed by Sean Wilmot trying desperately to go round the outside of Whitehouse, then dashing back on the inside of him here, but Wilmot is here for England. Whitehouse goes in underneath him again as they... Oh, Wilmot's gone! Sean Wilmot has gone. He sold out in the pit corner, and it was a heavy fall. Right over the top of the handlebars he went. As a matter of fact, he was thrown well forward. John Martin's got into trouble. So too is Martin Hagen. They're calling for the ambulance for Wilmot. Round the corner they come, and there's the checkered flag. And it's Watson of Australia, Horton Australia, Whitehouse Australia, Wigg of England, Banks of England. Then Martin of Australia, followed home by Martin Hagen of England, and the rider who fell was the English captain Sean Wilmot.
140.12.
140.12. 1 minute 40.12. The official time, and we'll check the placings. 30 Watson of Australia, 4 Horton of Australia, 172 Whitehouse of Australia, then 352 Simon Wigg of England, 7 Trevor Banks of England, 130 John Martin of Australia, and 350 Martin Hagen of England. Now Sean Wilmot is the rider receiving attention. The English captain. He sold out in that corner, got out very, very wide, and it was a very awkward fall thrown straight over the handlebars. Round 2 of the England versus Australia Test Series at Nepean. That's about a start, a very even one too. Wigg goes away well with Watson, going up quickly too with him as Kevin Horton as they go into the corner. It's Watson away here from Wigg, followed by Horton, and then Martin. Banks is behind him, and then Martin Hagen at the rear of the field. here from Simon Wigg. Wigg almost down on a knee there, and he's still in second place as Martin moves into fourth in front of Trevor Banks, and last of all is Martin Hagen. But it's Watson, the leader, from Horton as they go into the top sweeper, and Christopher Watson leads from Kevin Horton, followed then by Simon Wigg. Behind him then is John Martin, Trevor Banks of England, and last of all Martin Hagen. Okay, have a look at Wigg as he goes into this corner here. He's absolutely throwing it sideways, but it's Watson, the leader, from Horton. Watson leads from Kevin Horton. Australia, then Wigg of England. There's Horton going underneath Watson. Watson back at him again. They're racing one another. There's not much sense in this. Teams riding's the order of the day, but there's one lap to go, and it's Watson getting Horton, Wigg, then Martin from Banks, and last of all is Martin Hagen. Chris Watson leads away. Up the hill they come, and it's Watson, the leader, from Horton, who should be intent on covering the Englishman. Never mind trying to cover his own mate in front, and then John Martin lies fourth, followed by Trevor Banks, and last of all is Martin Hagen of England. But it's all over. Australia, Chris Watson first. Australia, Horton second, then Wigg of England, followed by Martin of Australia, Banks of England, and Martin Hagen of England. Check it down for you officially. 30 was Watson of Australia, 4 was Horton of Australia, 352 Wigg of England, 130 Martin of Australia, 7 was Banks of England, and 350 Martin Hagen of England. The time. They move up. Out they go, and Watson bounced out of the gate very quickly, followed by Simon Wigg, and then behind him Trevor Banks. Going up fast now, though, it's Kevin Horton to go into third place. Martin riding round the outside of Banks, but it's Watson, the leader. Watson leads away down the straightaway here from Simon Wigg on the inside. Followed by John Martin. Behind him then is Trevor Banks. Oh, Martin's down. Banks is gone. Martin and Banks down in one hell of a crash. Martin is up and okay. Where's Banks? I can't see him. But he's gone over the bank, and there's the signal for the ambulance. We'll keep an eye on the steward here. No, they're still on the circuit. We'll watch it. That's Watson, the leader, from Horton. Would you please be careful? So many riders and people running there, that's just not on. The race is still in progress. The steward is not elected to stop the race. And up the hill they go, and it's Christopher Watson, the leader, followed by Kevin Horton, and then Simon Wigg. Martin Hagen not taking any further part. Trevor Banks is the rider that's down with John Martin. Watson. Horton.
There's the red flag up, love.
There is a red flag. The red flag is out. The red flag is out, so the race is stopped. I commend the steward on that occasion for that stoppage, because we have to get the ambulance officer across the track, and if necessary to the ambulance. And of course the race was in progress and he couldn't just do that. But it looks as if they're both up and walking away, both Trevor Banks and John Martin. Now we'll have a look at the rerun. Now under the rules, the rider who falls first and causes the race stoppage is generally excluded. However, the official steward of the day is the only man that makes this decision. 146.92. Okay, they move up. Here it is, round one. Out they go, a good even start too. Watson away well, and Wilmot went with him, and on the outside here comes Stormont. On the inside, Hart, but it's Watson away from Wilmot, followed by Stormont, and Hart on the inside of him. Then coming Trevor Banks from Martin Hagen. Round the corner they come, and it's Chris Watson of Australia from Sean Wilmot of England, followed there by Mike Stormont of Australia, then Jeffrey Hart of Australia, Trevor Banks and Martin Hagen of England. Up the hill they go, round the corner here at the pits, and Watson is the leader. Watson from Wilmot, followed by Michael Stormont of Wagga, then Jeffrey Hart. From Trevor Banks riding the 232, the borrowed machine of John Jackson. Then comes Martin Hagen. Banks getting a little closer here to Jeffrey Hart, but Watson skipping right away from Wilmot, followed by Stormont, then Hart, Banks and Hagan in that order. Into the corner. Watson down the straightaway, a mile in front. From Michael Stormont now up in the second. Wilmot has gone. Sean Wilmot has gone. The motor is blown, I'd say. No, lost a chain. Wilmot lost a chain, I think it would appear from here. Yep, but Watson, no question, leading away very comfortably. And Australia will have a big win in the first round. Australia first, Australia second, and Australia third. You can't do much better than that. Then comes Martin Hagan from Trevor Banks, but you certainly can't do better than that. First, second and third, they're lying at the moment. Banksy's trying hard to get up there to Hart, but I know the problems that Trevor Banks is experiencing. But it's Watson who will win. Watson first. Stormont second. Martin Hagan third. Jeff Hart fourth. Then Trevor Banks. So they decided to get up there and do something about it, as Martin Hagan went up there to get into third place. Then Jeffrey Hart and Trevor Banks. Check them down. Watson first on 30. 131 was Stormont, 350 Hagan, 69 Hart, and 7 was Banks. We'll get you a progressive score as the series proceeds. So it's Jim Gilbert from you. We'll do that. England versus Australia, round 2, event 49 on your program. Event 49. Round 2, England versus Australia. Australia have commanding lead at the moment. Out they go, the trap's down. Wilmot got away very, very quickly on this occasion. But it's Wilmot as they go into the corner, leading away here from Watson. Watson going underneath him now to take up the running. Wilmot gone very, very wide. Stormont sitting in third place at the moment, followed by Jeffrey Hart. Then comes Martin Hagan, and last of all is Trevor Banks. Up the hill they go, and it's Watson the leader now. Watson scoots away here from Sean Wilmot, then Michael Stormont. Christopher Watson of Wallsend the leader for Australia, then England, Sean Wilmot, then comes Michael Stormont of Australia, Martin Hagan of England, then Jeffrey Hart of Australia from Trevor Banks of England. Into the right-hander at the S's goes the leader, Watson. That's the Australian rider, Chris Watson, away from England's Martin Sean Wilmot. Then the Wagga rider riding for Australia is Michael Stormont. Behind him comes Martin Hagan of England, followed by Jeffrey Hart, and last of all Trevor Banks. Watson, Wilmot, Stormont, Hagan. Then comes Hart and Banks. But it's Australia first, England second, Australia third at the moment. England in fourth place, Australia lying fifth, and England in sixth position. Up the hill. Watson with one to go. Watson undoubtedly has been the star of this series. Chris Watson, he's been a top point scorer at every round that he's ridden in. And I think the only round he missed was at Kingaroy in Queensland. But he's certainly been a tower of strength to the Australian side. Sean Wilmot of England has been their top rider. Then behind him comes Stormont. But Watson the leader and winner. Wilmot second. Stormont third. Martin Hagan in fourth place. Then Jeffrey Hart in fifth place. and Trevor Banks sitting in last position. Happy birthday to Paul Rowe, but from Mal Grumpy to Grumblebum, you get another birthday call and have a happy day. Opposed to Watson, Stormont, and Jeffrey Hart. You lit a cigarette. I'll have one yourself. Well, way they come this time on the outside here. That's Banks going up quickly. But it's Watson the leader. Watson leading away here. As they go into the corner, that's Stormont sitting in behind him, and then Jeff Hart, Australia 1, 2 and 3. Australia 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. As they come around the corner, it's Christopher Watson. Chris Watson away here from Michael Stormont. Jeffrey Hart under pressure from Hagen, followed there by that's Trevor Banks and Sean Wilmot in that order. There's Martin Hagen going around Jeffrey Hart now. Hagen hooks back inside, going into third place in the right-hander, but it's Watson the leader. Watson away from Stormont of Australia, followed by Hagen of England, then Hart of Australia, from Banks and Wilmot in that order. Watson, Stormont, Hagen, Hart, then Banks. To go, Chris Watson the leader. Watson of Australia